Welcome all to another C64 Round Up, your concise guide to many of the latest events within the Commodore 64 scene. So let's start things off with this episode's featured game.
RGCD presents a Pirates of Zanzibar production. Monstro Giganto.
And with that impressive use of digitized speech, we welcome you to the world of Monstro Giganto.
Round 1, fight!
The Pirates of Zanzibar, consisting of Antonio Savona, Lobo, and Aldo Chioma, has delivered something special to our C64 in the guise of a beat-em-up game featuring large monsters that have been constructed using Petsky graphics. Initially, you have access to any one of 4 monsters, each with their own strengths and weaknesses based on defense, strength, speed, and attack attributes. The difference in fighting capabilities is noticeable from one monster to another, which goes a long way to extending the overall game experience. The production values to Monstro Giganto are set to a very high level. Graphically, everything moves around smoothly and each monster is drawn and animated very well. I cannot comprehend how the creative genius mind of Lobo was able to construct each of the monsters, but each one is well defined and gives off a sense of having their own personality. The game excels sonically. Each monster you face has their own upbeat and intense backing music that perfectly fits in with the epic beat-em-up action taking place.
Mojo wins.
And the digitized speech is the best that has ever been featured on the C64.
Round 1, fight!
Seriously, there's about 3 minutes of arcade quality speech throughout the whole game that comes out sounding crystal clear. That is as long as you're playing the game either through a real SID chip or the latest versions of the Vice emulator. Those of you who are using the Ultimate 64 with the Ulti-SID emulation, or those of you using a replacement SID solution, will not be able to obtain total clarity with the game speech. As for the fighting action, the aim is to win 2 out of 3 rounds against your monster opponent, and you basically loop through each of the 4 monsters, including the same monster you have chosen to play, until you lose. Each monster has the same 4 sets of moves: standard punch, block, super punch, and a headbutt. Both attacks and defensive moves need to be used in a considered manner, as each monster has a red fatigue bar that increases each time you make a move. So blindly mashing buttons will quickly result in your monster becoming fatigued, unable to fight or defend for a few seconds. Adding to the strategy element of the action, your hits have to land on a specific point of your opponent's nose for it to be effective. All this combines together well to produce a far more engaging gameplay experience from what I was really expecting. When you successfully loop through the monsters twice, a 5th monster becomes available as an opponent, and defeating Bogey once will result in your monster's backstory becoming unlocked.
The tale of Mojo of Zanzibar. Way down in the South Indian Ocean, there was a mangy pirate.
If you end up beating Bogey twice, then you unlock him as a monster that you can use in fights as well.
Game over.
Here comes Bogey.
Monstro Giganto also features 2-player gameplay, a high score table, and is NTSC compatible. Before I finish up with this feature, I need to point out the manual for the game. The art design and illustrations, once again done by Lobo, are simply spectacular. Monstro Giganto is available as a physical cartridge from RGCD and as a digital download from itch.io, with the option to include a donation that will go to a charitable cause. Alright, let's check out some of the more notable news items that have cropped up of late. We haven't heard too much about Bounty Bob's return to the C64, but Dan Avery has recently posted a trailer for the game. The game sees Bob stuck in 2019, and your job is to help him find his way back to 2049 by guiding him around to locate hidden fuel canisters that will power his time machine. Cytronic Software have recently indicated that the game will become available sometime in April 2021. Antonio Savona is serving up rashers of bacon with his level 2 video trailer of Pix Quest. This game is pure eye candy for the C64, as there is so much detail going on in the background that it's easy to miss the action going on in the foreground. Pix Quest sees you play our hero Frank Ferber, who while camping one day enters a cave and discovers a subterranean world that draws him into an adventure to find 4 stolen statues, which will bring peace and harmony again to the pig people. Antonio is anticipating that the game will be ready sometime in mid-2021. Eric Magic Eric is back with another teaser of his work on Another World for the C64. You will recall that he previously mentioned that he was targeting Another World to work on accelerated Commodore 64 solutions, such as the Ultimate 64 with turbo speeds and a Turbo Chameleon. The gameplay shown on the footage does look somewhat sluggish, and there would need to be a lot more optimization to take place. Time will only tell if this project comes to completion, but if it does, it will certainly take a while. Zap64 is back in the guise of a bi-monthly micro edition featuring 60 pages in an A5 size format. Flicking through the first issue, we can see Chris Wilkins and team are keen to replicate the look and feel of the original magazine with its game reviews and different article sections that are sure to conjure up fond memories of reading Zap back in the 80s. The micro magazine is very well produced, and the writing in most part is concise, informative and void of satirical gimmicks. Any publication that puts a spotlight on today's C64 scene will get the thumbs up from me, but this one kind of sticks out due to its professionalism and the ability to push out content that is only a few months old. You can subscribe to Zap64 Micro by signing up through the Zap64 Patreon. Andreas Larsen has recently streamed his latest round of beta testing on the upcoming C64 port of Eye of the Beholder across his Twitch TV channel. Over a course of a 2.5 hour session, Andreas took viewers deep into the game as he looked around for any bugs left remaining in the game. Overall, the version being tested looked to be quite stable, and the game continues to be a thing of beauty from an aesthetic perspective, while at the same time providing engrossing dungeon crawling RPG experience. When asked about an ETA on when the game would be released, Andreas stated that it will be done when it's done, indicating that the code was essentially completed and that the only thing remaining was a continual refinement to the graphics. Having spent so much time working on Eye of the Beholder up to this point, Andreas indicated that there was no point in rushing out the release now, and that he and the team behind the project are committed to ensuring that the game will be the very best it can be. When I followed up Andreas after the stream, he did feel quite confident that the release would indeed occur in 2021. Crazy Blaster is now available as a digital download on itch.io. Providing space taxi style gameplay, Crazy Blaster is unashamedly difficult. The game has previously been available from The Future Was 8-Bit as a cartridge and cassette, but Misfit has decided that he wants to inflict frustration to as many gamers as possible by now making it available as a digital download. The demo section of the roundup has shown itself to be popular with many viewers, starting to appreciate the scene a lot more. Let's check out some recent releases. Moving on, let's take a look at some more new game releases for the C64. The latest Icon 64 title, Battle Kingdom, was released during March. This action-adventure game is set within a tranquil kingdom that has been overrun by undead souls, savage beasts and evil dragons who have captured the kingdom's princess. You play the role of Sir Bob, who needs to go out to explore the kingdom, dispatching the evil that lurks within, collecting fragments of the Master Sword before going one-on-one with a dragon in order to rescue the trapped princess. RGN recently showcased the game in detail in its own video, and it was great to see the level of feedback received from viewers. Pretty much everyone agreed that Battle Kingdom is one good-looking game that is an improvement upon its inspiration game Venture, which was originally an arcade game. Many viewers like that the game is easy to pick up and play and does not feature too much frantic gameplay, while some others cited that perhaps the game is too basic and may not be able to sustain their interest in the long run due to the lack of some sort of progression within the gameplay. Battle Kingdom definitely does contain high production values with great graphics and sound, and as a pure arcade experience is quite well executed, though I do wish it had a little more to it, such as different town layouts for each level, upgrading of weapons or abilities, or having to find certain items before being able to enter some buildings. In saying this, it is a significant upgrade to Venture, the inspiration game, and the end of level dragons having their own look and characteristics, with the later level dragons requiring some patient, thoughtful strategy. Battle Kingdom is both PAL and NTSC compatible and will work on the C64 mini or standard sized devices. The game is available as a digital download or on cassette or disc from Psytronic Software. Lele Relay is a gravity thrust style of game which requires you to guide the UFO using only rotation and thrusters around the game room to collect all of the lanterns before you can move on to the next level. This is one of those simple but very challenging games that you would think you would sit down with for just 10 minutes, but in no time you realise you've just passed the 1 hour mark. The game features multicoloured graphics, smooth vertical scrolling, realistic inertia implementation and multiple SID tunes. The game's controls are very good, allowing you to pull off some precision moves in tight spots that you don't think are possible. There is not a lot to Lele Relay, but what is there is of a high quality and the game is quite addictive. This is one very good release. Freaky Fish DX gets an enhanced release edition via Bitmapsoft. Skeeter the Fisherman has found a brand new hobby, blast fishing. So it's up to Jacques le Shark, a giant bubble blowing fish, to put Skeeter in his place. Freaky Fish DX is an enjoyable arcade style game with some nice cartoon style graphics. It is really easy to pick up and play and will have you hooked with its subtle depth. What initially looks like a game that you just simply blow bubbles at dynamite is far deeper, as you not only have the ability to direct your bubbles, but you can protect the other fish from harm by bumping into them or blowing bubbles at them to direct them out of harm's way. And it's this defensive element of the game that won me over. The Bitmapsoft version of Freaky Fish DX contains 5 additional levels plus a number of other small enhancements, and is available as a cartridge or cassette. Alf Ingve has released Droid Rumble, a game developed using an enhanced version of the shoot 'em up construction kit. The game sees malfunctioning robots take over a city's fusion power plant, and you, disguised in a robot suit, have volunteered to infiltrate the plant in order to shut down the reactor before it goes into meltdown. The game graphics are quite strong, and certainly don't look like your regular shoot 'em up construction kit game, and is somewhat successful in giving off a sense of a RoboCop style action game. Gameplay starts off at a slower pace before picking up as you progress through the levels. Your character can climb ladders and crawl. There are numerous enemies and hazards dispersed across the game, with boss style battles at the end of each level. But the actual gameplay itself does have the hallmarks of its origins, as the game does not scroll to the right, and the actual movement never picks up more than a steady strolling pace. The enemy attack patterns are also strictly predefined, which results in being able to stand right next to an enemy without any ramifications. Droid Rumble is a very good submission for this year's SEER competition hosted by Richard Bayless of TND, but for it to be a good quality run and gun style game, then it still has a bit to go before it will be able to sustain anyone for repeat game sessions. Well, we've had pixel art and single file demos, how about we take a listen to some great C64 SID tunes. Cytronic Software announced that they would be publishing Bad Moon Rising back in September last year, but very little has been heard from this game since. Well, the good news is that the project has been quite active behind the scenes and is now complete. The delay with the release was due to the game receiving a significant overhaul in respect to its overall production values and level design, and we are excited to give you a sneak preview of the game. The main feature of Bad Moon Rising is that it will have multiple gameplay styles, including joystick waggling, side-scrolling navigation, shooting gallery, vertical shooter, and a beat 'em up, to name a few. Not only does the game look and sound better than it did originally, additional levels have been added to extend the length of the game. We will showcase Bad Moon Rising in full when it gets closer to a release. And that is a wrap on another C64 Roundup. Hope you enjoyed the content as we continue to evolve it even further into a video magazine format. Thank you to the viewers for your support, and I look forward to hearing from you via the comments section. Until next time, bye for now.